Okay, today's lesson is going to require you to have your graphing calculator. So if you did not grab that on the way into class, you will definitely want to pause the video and go get that right now. The first thing I want you to do on your graphing calculator after turning it on, obviously, is I want you to clear it so that if there are any weird settings in your calculator, those will be gone before you begin what we're doing today. So to clear it, you're going to press the second key, and then you're going to hit the plus key, and then 7, 1, 2. And when you do that, it should say that your memory has been cleared. So again, that's second plus 7, 1, 2. And then you can just press enter and it'll get you back to a clear screen. So you're going to be doing what's called a 5-number summary today, and then making what is called a box plot, or sometimes it's called a box and whisker plot. So you're going to be given a set of data on the 4 problems that you're given today, so you're going to get 4 extra sets in addition to the example we're working today. What I did for our data is I got our 3rd quarter grades from our class, but I mixed them up. So these are what everyone made for the 3rd quarter. And so we're going to enter those numbers into our calculator. But it's really important that you follow directions here, pause when you need to finish and catch up, but you've really got to pay attention to the key sequence here. So you're going to go to the Stat button, which is right here. So click on Stat. It should have highlighted, and I'm trying to get away from the glare there, but it should have highlighted Edit right now. So you're just going to press Enter because that's what you want to do. Now it's really important that you notice the naming of your column here. Mine says L1. If yours says something different in this first column, write it down right here on your notes. Mine says L1. If yours says something different, then write it down because you're going to need to know that here in just a moment. Now, if there's any numbers in your list, then what I want you to do is hit the up arrow so it highlights that column name, and then you're going to hit the clear button, but you'll notice none of the numbers went away if you press clear, but if you press enter, it should clear all the numbers out of that column. Again, you have to scroll up to highlight here, press clear and enter, and it'll take any numbers away. Okay, so you should begin with a blank column here. If you have any numbers in the others, they should have been gone away when we cleared our calculator, but so nobody should really have numbers here yet. We're going to enter the numbers from our grades from the 3rd quarter. So you're going to press in 68, and it won't go into your list until you press enter. So you're going to press 68, enter, and then just keep entering these grades. 38, enter, 58, enter, 98, enter, then we had a 66, enter, 55, enter, 76, enter, 51, enter, 60, enter, 96, enter, 49, enter, 78, and you do have to press enter after their last number as well. So we had a total of 12 grades from the 3rd quarter. So you should be able to look at those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, I need to go up to the top. 11, 12. There's the other ones. So you'll notice in the next blank spot, it's expecting number 13. So that means you entered all 12 grades. So always make sure that you have the number of data that you're supposed to. It should say here one more number than what we had. So we had 12 grades, so it makes sense that that says a 13 right there. So it tells you on your notes a reminder when you get to the homework. Make sure you enter your data into your graphing calculator, and you do that by hitting Stat Enter, and that gives you to this list. Make sure you have the correct number of data entries before you move on, because your calculator is only as smart as what you've told it to do. So you have to put in the right information. Now to get your 5-number summary, it tells you on your notes what you're going to do. And so you're going to go back to the Stat button, but this time we don't want Edit, so you're not going to press Enter. We want the next thing over, and I'm really trying to get rid of that glare. We want the next thing over, which is Calc. So I'm not sure why it's going back to glare there. Okay, so now you can see it. See, it says Calc. So you want to scroll to the right to highlight Calc, and then you're going to hit Enter. Now, you remember I told you to write on your notes if you had something besides L1 right here? Because if you have something besides L1, you need that to say whatever you have right here. So mine says L1, but that's what my column was labeled as well. If you had, for example, an L2, then you need it to say L2 right here. And so to change that, you'll notice, you see in blue above the numbers here, it says L1, L2, L3, L4, and so on. Whatever your first column was named, that's what you need to put right here. So if yours was L2, then you would want to press second 2, so it would put the L2 right there. So remember, to access anything in blue on your calculator, you have to hit the second key first. So you would press second 2 to change this to an L2, or second 3 to change it to L3. But if your column was L1, then you're good with it saying L1. And so you're just going to keep entering until it highlights calculate, and then press enter one more time so it will do that calculation for you. Now today we want our 5-number summary. Tomorrow we'll want this first number, which is our mean. That X with the bar above it means mean, which is the same thing as the average. So our average grade last 9 weeks was around a 66%, but we don't care about that for our 5-number summary. The very first number in your 5-number summary is this one right here that says min X. It means minimum. This is the lowest grade we had last 9 weeks, a 38%. That's the minimum. So I want you to scroll down to the end of your list. These last 5 numbers are the ones that we care about today. And so I want you to write those on your notes right here where it asks for those numbers. So for minimum, that's the min X, which is 38. The lower quartile is your Q1 number. So right here it says Q1 is 53, and we'll talk about what that means in just a moment. Your median is just the number in the middle when you put them all in order from least to greatest, and that was 63. MED means median. Whoops. I'll get back to my list. I hit something by mistake. And then we want our upper quartile, which is the Q3 number, which is 77. And then we want our maximum, which is the highest grade someone made last quarter, which is a 98. Once you have those 5 numbers copied down, you're finished with your calculator for now. Okay, so make sure you scroll down to get those 5 values. You know, the mean will be at the top, but you want to scroll down to the last 5 numbers. Now to find your inner quartile range, range just means subtraction from highest to lowest, but you only want the quartile numbers, your Q3 and your Q1. So to calculate that, you want to do Q3 minus Q1. So my Q3 was 77, and I'm going to subtract my Q1, which was 53. So 77 minus 53 is 24. That's what our inner quartile range is. Now, we have the 5-number summary, which is all you have to do on numbers 3 and 4 on your assignment today. But for numbers 1 and 2, you're going to have to make the box plot. So I'm going to copy these numbers from the first page just so I don't have to keep going back and forth. So those are the numbers that we got from our calculator. So to make the box method, the first thing you need to do is to make your scale on your number line. We want to make sure that we can go from 38 to 98 on here. So probably the best thing to do is to start with 30 and go by 5s. Doesn't mean you have to number everyone, so I could skip here knowing that's 45 and then make that 50. That's 55, that's 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, and I can stop. So you don't have to number every single line. You can skip every other one and go by 10s that way, but remember each grid line is going up by 5. That's 35, 45, 55. So number out your number line. You didn't have to do it this way. You could have gone by 10s. It just would smush all your information together, but you just got to make sure that you can cover your lowest to your highest value. So then I want you to put points above the number line, not on it, above it for these numbers. So 38, this is 35, this is 40, so it'd be really close to the 40, right? It would be closer to the 40 than it would be to 35. 53, this is 50, this is 55, so I want to be somewhere in the middle, but a little bit closer to 55. 63, this is 60, this is 65, so I want to be closer to 65 than to 60. 77, this is 75, this is 80, so I want to be closer to the 75 than to the 80. 98 is almost to 100, but a little less. There are my 5 dots above the line. Now the 3 in the middle are representing that interquartile range, the interquartile range, 77 minus 53. That's what you want to draw your box around. So you want this to be the beginning of your box and that to be the end of your box. So what I mean is to go and do this. So one end of the box goes through that Q1 number, one end of the box goes through that Q3 number, and then you just draw a bar through your median. That's the box part of the box and whisker. And so then you just draw whiskers, which means just draw lines out to your max and your minimum. So once you have your 5 numbers, you just draw dots, draw a box around the second and the 4th numbers, and a bar through the 3rd. This is the 2nd, the 4th, and the 3rd. And then draw whiskers out to your 1st and 5th number. That's all there is to making a box plot. So you have 4 problems. You're going to have to enter the data first, but when you do your first problem on your homework and you go to Stat, enter, Edit, and so you're going to enter, remember your data's in there from our example. So when you do that, you're going to have to scroll up to highlight your column name. You're going to press Clear, and notice they're not gone yet. You have to press Enter. And now that column's empty and ready for your first problem on your assignment. And so you'll have to do that every time you start a new problem. You'll have to highlight the column number, clear, enter, and it'll take all those numbers away. All right, remember this assignment should be finished by the end of the class period. You just have 4 to do, and your calculator does the hard part. All you have to do is enter the numbers. So there's no reason you should not be able to get those 4 problems done. You're only drawing the box plot for the first 2. The 3rd and 4th one, you're just writing down your 5 number summary. See you tomorrow.